My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is Ontario Police. He's stalking right now, and this is like the one that was physically attacking me. He comes over here driving, over here looking for me, stalking, okay? Under the fake moon, telling me that I can't be here when you're stalking me, okay? And this is another one they're stalking right now. They're going to prison. This is a vehicle, by the way, 16807841108. He's going to prison. They're stalking over here. This is the entity that's stalking. This is license plate 1644200. They're stalking while they already know where I'm at. All right, this is the entity that's engaged. They don't have authority under the law. So I'm asleep over here. They came over here engaging what is threatening me while the military stalking me by planes and helicopters all day. And these two demons are going to prison. This is P.O.C. Okay, he's driving over here, stalking, and they're monitoring with the entity that's maintaining plane activity, helicopter activity. He drove down here. They already know where I'm at. They're stalking under the fake sun all day long. So while I'm over here on the Wi-Fi, while they're monitoring with the entity that's stalking, these are demons that are monitoring right here. This is a threat. This is the Ontario police that are going to federal prison. You're going to federal prison for this.
Move out of the way.
I'm walking. You came over here stalking. They're psychotic. They're psychotic. 1644200 is going to prison, vehicle 1052. And he's over here gang stalking. The Ontario police are over here stalking me, talking to the people of the state. This vehicle, he's the one in. You can't be over here. You can't be over here. But he can be over here gang stalking. They're going to prison. They're the reason why I'm sleeping outside, and they're going to federal prison for threatening to engage in what is a kidnapping while they're engaged in federal stalking right now. He's going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 12:37 a.m. Mike LORENZ is going to prison as well. And I want to be clear, the military, they're being discharged. They're going to be in military tribunals with the Ontario police who are going to prison right along with the gang stalkers stalking at the Ontario City Hall in the middle of the night.
Somewhere else.
This is the P.O.C.
Cannot be here.
Can't go here. I don't want you to listen. He's monitoring. This is the pattern of conduct. That's the pattern of conduct. License 1680784, 1108. This is psychopathic pacing right here. This is what these are stalkers in police vehicles. That's the pattern of conduct. His demon, this little demonic partner over here, was already engaged in surveilling me. And as I start documenting, this demon is approaching together. This is Ovid Family Community Library where they are gang stalking, engaging the P.O.C. together. You're engaged in stalking, and you don't have authority under the law. They're engaged in what is targeting, and this is a threat to engage in kidnapping while I'm sleeping outside where this entity's gang stalking has resulted. This is the kidnapping that Hazelwood and Owens committed, and they're doing so while they are stalking me. You already know where I'm at. You're engaged in what is stalking, not law enforcement. These are the demons that engage in this sort of behavior, and this is one I want to be clear why Tracy Banks is going to prison, conspired with the Ontario Police Department, repeatedly kidnapping and defaming. This is P.O.C. This is a demon that's stalking with life. This is mental illness. They're going to be committed. This is demonic. This is demonic. They're pacing. That's a white male. License 1675929. This is the department that's being disbanded. And just like I stated the other night, this is the entity that is stalking, engaging in what is a threat, because they know where, and they engage in this threatening conduct with regard to what is harassing me because of my documentation that I'm publishing on the internet. Like criminal summoning at Stater Brothers, while I'm documenting that the entities such as Tracy Banks and the military are going to prison, the puppets, the homosexuals of the Ontario Police Department engage in what is stalking. Those are the puppets that commit kidnapping. And the military is going to federal prison for criminally cooperating with the Ontario Police. That's not law enforcement. While you are stalking me and then you come around and telling me that I can't sleep outside, you sleep outside over here, anywhere where you are stalking me at that location, that is psychotic. That's literally what they're doing. This is the P.O.C. and the entity is doing that to engage in what is intimidation, retaliation, threats, while you are literally gang stalking. This is where they already are stalking me by planes and helicopters. You're going to prison for what you're doing, and then you're trying to exercise authority under the law that you do not simultaneously maintain. That was psychopathic pacing. That's also why Paul Leon is going to prison. The entity is stalking me, flying over my head, terrorizing me in ongoing planes, and they're engaged in what is stalking in police vehicles while you're acting like you have authority under the law. Because you are hostile to my evidence, which is already prosecuting you. That's the entity that's threatening to engage in a kidnapping while they have no authority under the law, which is a threat. That's a crime. While you're engaging in acting as though you're stalking, you're acting like you have authority under the law. That's a crime that I'm documenting again, that they're going to prison for, as though you have authority under the law. The homeless person that's over there, he was gang stalking in the corner. They know where they're all over here positioned. And that's the guys where they are stalking me and they're associating with the people of the state. They're not engaged in law enforcement. They're driving over here knowing exactly where I'm at, pacing all around. That's Ontario Police stalking, and that's Ontario Police back there stalking. P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging in that P.O.C. as one. All right, I just want you to see where I'm at. This is the Ovid Family Community Library. And these are all the shadows on the engineer light where the Ontario police are engaged in surveillance. This is where the fake sun rises and sets. This is where the entity's been stalking all day long. You hear the helicopter activity. Those two demons, those license plates, those vehicles as a means of identifying, those two demons are going to prison. All right. And they are targeting, driving up into this area over here, knowing exactly where I'm at. They know exactly where I'm at. They're stalking me. They're monitoring my device. They're monitoring my evidence, everything I publish. And this is how an entity, somebody like Tracy Banks, who was a demon stalking me with the Ontario police, is engaging in what is puppeteering. Those sex offenders that are engaging what is stalking me with Tracy Banks come and communicate a threat. If Tracy hears something on my podcast that she doesn't like, if Jason Fields is documented and I'm speaking to, if the homosexuals of the U.S. military are documented in some way that they don't like, the puppets of the Ontario police come and engage in harassment. They're being disbanded, and Mike LORENZ is going to prison for that. All right. This is the P.O.C. You're sleeping outside when the entity is gang stalking. You're also not going to tell me where I'm going to sleep outside while you are stalking me. And every act of kidnapping that this department is committing, they're going to prison for even longer. They're not getting out of prison. I want to document this because this is what the entity's been doing. This is what Craig, Hazelwood, and Owens are doing in concert with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, who are being disbanded, and the demons of the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. And everyone is subject to federal prison while they're engaging. That's stalking. So you do not have authority as the sheriff that's stalking, and you don't have authority as the court that is stalking. And I've also surrounded every aspect of that system while they're doing so with the demons of the military stalking me in commercial planes and in jets and in helicopters, which I have again on another day under the fake sun. Demons that are exercising authority they don't have under the law, which is what the people of the state are doing. Gang stalking 24 hours a day. Okay, for you to engage in acting like you're even policing, for you to even approach me while I'm maintaining an ongoing investigation, they're going to prison for that. That's the entity threatening me. That's a threat to engage in kidnapping, and that's why I want to document. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 12:43 a.m., and it is June 22nd, 2026. You witnessed mentally ill behavior, not only the malicious conduct of being a stalker, as it's already established that what the entity is doing targeting me, and engaging what is threatening. You're looking at the ongoing threat that the Ontario police pose. They will not be on the roads and the highways. They're losing driving privileges like every other demon in this entity that's going to be subject to martial law. They're being disbanded, and they're going to federal prison. Everybody that's stalking, that was stalking while you're wearing uniforms, bearing badges, and exercising authority that you don't have. Instead of the Ontario police leaving me alone, gang stalking in the first place, while they are waiting to be raided, they're waiting for what is the day that they're being literally not kidnapped, but arrested and taken to court and answering for this. I want to be clear, the entity that's holding court hearings, claiming that you're holding court hearings, and all of this delay with regard to the Ontario police still stalking, this is why you're going to prison. The entity that's stalking by the military, while I'm referring to that, this is why you're going to prison. There is no takeoff right here. This is the same video. That's in criminal conduct that the Ontario police are going to prison for. You're not engaging in any exercise of authority under the law, and the military are evident to that. And for them coming here and telling me that, they're going to prison. They're stalking with the military, who rides up right here. This is the Ontario City Hall. They drove right here stalking me. Do you know why they're doing that? Because they are indeed engaged in what is ongoing. It's a crime to engage in stalking and then engage in what is plotting, threatening to commit a kidnapping, which you are impliedly communicating while you are stating that the targeted individual that you are stalking with the military, that you are gang stalking with the court system, that you are gang stalking with the county sheriff, and furtherance of the conspiracy to murder, while you are a psychopath monitoring, stalking me with light and stalking in the path in the specific environment. All of that is relevant to what they are stating. That you can't be here while you're gang stalking with the people of the state that you know who are hiding over here at the city hall, keeping me under surveillance with the military that's rising up. There's no airport over here. Just like there's no airport behind the Stater brothers over the housing community at Bonita. That is literally the evidence of what I've already shown. And everybody already knows the Ontario police are stalking. What you're witnessing is the evidence of those that are in the courts who are going to prison. Exactly what the Ontario Police Department did right now, that's why you're going to prison. You're not holding it and conducting any court hearings. You're facilitating this. You're going to prison. While the entity is threatening to kidnap me and you call yourself conducting court hearings, you are going to federal prison. I'm going to prosecute you. And the entity that's engaging in this conduct, which is a threat relevant to psychological torture, because you think that it profits you to do that. that. Tracy Banks is going to prison, and because she's miserable about the fact that she's going to prison, they are still stalking me in planes and helicopters, because these suicidal homosexuals are depressed and are fearful about going to prison. They're coming around and stalking and harassing me, which is not stopping that. And the people of the state that are stalking, that's why you're going to prison. You're not conducting any legitimate court hearings. The pattern of conduct itself, as I'm documenting it, is speaking to the policy that you shall be subject to, and it is prison time. You're going to suffer prison time. That is mandated. Prison. P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 12:46 a.m., where the entity that is stalking me through the people of the state, through the U.S. military, in concert with the Ontario police, is what you just witnessed, while they are doing so in the specific environment where you are aware of exactly where I'm at, where my shadow is spread across the asphalt, acting like you discovered me here. You did not. You're stalking conspicuously, while you're stalking me the entirety of every other moment of the day. And when you come in my face, exercising authority that you don't have, acting like you have authority, in other words, you're doing that to communicate a threat to the target individual, that you're going to kidnap them, that you have authority under the law, that you're not stalking, meaning you have authority because you're not stalking. And just because you are acting like you have authority doesn't mean that you're not stalking. You're going to be prosecuted and diagnosed regarding that psychopathic behavior, which is already speaking to what is the conduct that the military are speaking to, the truth about what you are and what you're doing. And so is the people of the state, and so is the environment where I'm at. The fake sun rises here, the fake sun sets here. The entity has been stalking all day long. You hear on my podcast, the entity, you'll see the video of the entity stalking me by helicopter. The Ontario police don't have authority under the law. This is why Owens and Craig Hazelwood are going to prison for the kidnapping in February 2026. That's the latest kidnapping. This is P.O.C. The entity's been engaged in kidnapping. Mike Lorenz and Derek Williams have been engaged in kidnapping since 2019. That's Tracy Banks, who's been engaged in what is serial kidnapping. That's the U.S. military that's engaged in serial kidnapping. That's the people of the state that have been engaged in serial kidnapping. And the entity is subject to martial law. Kidnapping as an entity, gang stalking me, and then engaging what is harassing me while I am getting ready to lay down, and you know that, and you're coming around stalking in the middle of the night because you want to communicate a threat. And while you want to communicate a threat, they know that they're being disbanded. They know that they are being prosecuted, and they're engaging in this conduct with regard to a retaliatory measure. And that's the entity that's threatening your liberty, which is already under threat when they're stalking you in the first place. And that's exactly what they're doing. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 12:48 a.m. This is the entity that's engaging in that. And this is also relevant. I want to be clear. Jason Fields, the federal government, the entity that's engaged in targeting and calling yourself conducting an investigation because an American citizen, because I am subject to this. There will be no future reconciliation. I will not be working with you. You can't recruit me when I'm prosecuting you, and you are literally not engaging in anything that is serving me while the same pattern of conduct is underway. While the entity is engaged in what is threatening to kidnap, I don't see you running out in the bushes and stopping them from doing so. Do not speak to me in the future about any sort of, there will be no reconciliation while I maintain this investigation. You make sure you stay away like you've been staying away this entire time. This is exactly why there will be no future communication whatsoever. And if Jason Fields comes around me like Tracy Banks is, he's going to prison for it. Just like the Ontario police, all of them that come around me conspicuously stalking are going to prison. Jason Fields does the same thing. He's going to prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 12:49 a.m. Entity stalking as I'm exiting the store. That is, first of all, no takeoff. They're hovering. They're hovering where the entity is stalking in the path. And stalking in the path is recognized in the specific environment. That includes those that are operating school buses, by the way. This is criminal activity that a demon operating a school bus is sharing in. That's why martial law and going to school and the need for support from the government and on the basis, oh, I have children and that's going to give me, no, it's not. It's your admission to the government, if you haven't already lost custody as a terrorist, that you are incapable of taking care of minors who are gang stalking, including with the corrupt school districts. But this is the fake son over Stater Brothers at 646 West Hope Boulevard, where the fake sun is over me, literally in the same position while I'm standing where it says dentist after 4 p.m. This is where you're recognizing stalking, and this is the government. License SY487, and sunlight doesn't shoot in front of a car. This is the demon. And they're keeping my vagina under surveillance while impossible light moves across the building. That's a demon. And they're doing so under what is not even the sun, nor would that be any sort of iteration of sunlight. This is the entity that engaged in Stater Brothers, is the entity that's going to be shut down.
Also, all the employees, including Kia, who was gang stalking me at Register 1, with the U.S. military that are stalking by flying over this airport, and the people of the state that are stalking in the path, that's Griffith Company, that's being federally prosecuted, losing licensure while they're engaged in state surveillance and furtherance of murder and not construction. They are the entity engaged in poisoning food that I purchased here, and they're going to prison for that as well. And this is the entity that's engaged in that concerted criminal conduct and all of that, which is a threat to the life of an American citizen when you are engaging in surveillance, like what the facilitating venue of Stater Brothers Ontario Village Shopping is engaged in. And this is the evidence of the fake sun rise to the fake sun set. Right here, where I'm at the Stater Brothers, inside of the Village Center. This is the P.O.C. The employees are going to federal prison. And they're also going to federal prison. The entity engaged in poisoning, and this is relevant to evidence. Today's the 22nd, so this is poisoning pursuant to purchases that I made on June 20th, 2026. This is P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 6:40 a.m. The entity that's poisoning is stalking with the whole population that goes into the grocery store. And you're going to be prosecuted for stalking in the way that he is, and you go right into the grocery store, gang stalking. You know who's going to prison for that? These demons right here. They're going to prison for it. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:40 a.m. It is currently 8:18 a.m. So I captured Landivar of Upland Police stalking, engaging in criminal summoning during the 8 a.m. hour. This is documenting the people of the state. They are one entity. When I'm walking out of this same library entrance doors right here, and the fake sun is in alignment to me like it is now, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 hours from now, as you are looking at the same library. That's non-movement, by the way, of what is necessarily a fake sun, the evidence of surveillance. And where you are seeing evidence of surveillance is where the government is located. A city library is the operations of the city government, the local government, the state, the city of Upland, where the city hall, Upland City Hall, and those inside of that facilitating venue, because the pattern of conduct is hereby established. That is exposing what you are under the law, where gang violence, surveillance, and furtherance of murder is underway by the government itself in concert with the population. Public corruption is what Bill Velto, as a domestic terrorist and facilitating terrorism, a terrorist leader, is what you are aware of when it's legally relevant where I'm documenting this. And the entities engaging in this while they are monitoring, that is engaging in criminal surveillance on devices. It's an unlawful search. It's federal stalking under Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. They're engaged in surveillance in the bathrooms of the venues. When what's happening here is happening everywhere. As I've shown you, a fake sun remains over me, which is evidence of an entity stalking. That's not coincidentally accessing a white van in my path. That's gang stalking, and that's a demon. It's also a corporate entity, the government that acts through companies that are engaging in surveillance. The basis to prosecute companies like Amazon Prime, okay? This is the P.O.C., and this is psychopathic behavior while a population is engaged in focusing on stalking you in the path. They're doing that on the roads and the highways. The entity that does that is the one that's losing the privilege given by the state to be on the roads and the highways, where they commit murder under the fake sun, where they're not engaged in law enforcement but California Highway Patrol, where they are sharing in the means of surveillance, where they're targeting a whole other person through the creation of a car accident, which is also speaking to the fraud that is underway through the insurance system, okay? This is the P.O.C. The fake sun that is over me right now at 8:20 a.m. is not remaining in Ontario, contrary to what I'm documenting when I am remaining in the city of Ontario, which is merely one example, because I've gone throughout Southern California and into the state of Nevada showing this pattern of conduct, underscored with the fake sun documentation, which is proof of surveillance. Meaning, this is no ordinary criminal conduct. This is not ordinary public corruption. It's that which a government is engaging in with a population, and it is state to state. Okay? The entity is engaging in what is public corruption. You're not remaining in office, and I don't have to talk to the mayor to prosecute him. I can prosecute him while the people of the state are at the mayor's the mayor's office, or the city hall, if you will, where the city council is present and the criminal pattern of conduct is underway. Do not forget, this is where the city of Upland is engaged in gang stalking by San Bernardino County Fire Department, by the Upland Police Department, stalking defined and recognized under the law by helicopter, where this fake son is still here 10 hours later. This is where the population is engaged in the perpetual sex offense, which is sexually motivated acts of terrorism in furtherance of murder and psychological torture. The entity is engaging in surveillance in the bathrooms inside of the government facilitating venue of the Upland Public Library, of the Upland City Hall, and everywhere else in Upland where there are no private properties. The government's maintaining surveillance. This is P.O.C., and this is an entity that shall be subject to martial law. The city of Upland committed kidnapping in 2022. This is P.O.C., and the city of Upland is still engaging in surveillance. This is mental illness. This is obsession. This is an ongoing determination to continue stalking, even while they just turn their back to you. They refuse to stop engaging in it, and that is terrorism as well. While you are levying war, the federal government is going to respond, and it includes martial law. It's mandated. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:22 a.m. Excuse me? Want to repeat yourself?
I said you're taking pictures of people's license plates, violating people's property. You have me on record.
Violating what property?
I was seeing.
What section of the penal code? I am at Upland Public Library, which the evidence shows, the video evidence and the images. The city of Upland engaging in with Amazon Prime, the corporate entity, engaging in what is staging the circumstances for criminal summoning, leaving a package in front of a facilitating venue where you're engaging in surveillance by virtue of leaving the package there in order for the people of the state to steal it in the presence of others who then engage in criminal summoning. This is all under the fake sun, where psychopaths of that agency arrive pursuant to what is a call, where they're acting as though they have learned about something unlawful that's underway. And this is the entity that engages in criminal summoning that's going to, with that same evidence, to prosecute them for criminal activity, be diagnosed for their mental instability that is thereby simultaneously captured and evident in order to diagnosed and be subject to commitments. This is what the Upland Police are doing with the people of the state in Upland, California, under the fake sun. At approximately 9:06 a.m., the city of Upland is approaching. This is a female gang stalker who's wearing a police uniform. She keeps her back to me. She does not ask me. I'm listening to the people of the state who are engaging in criminal summoning. FedEx is pacing, going to the Upland City Hall. The people of the state, the serial stalker, the white male whose image I will upload to the Google Drive, he's going to prison, engaging in psychopathic pacing, and this is an entity that is highly passive aggressive. So the demons that are psychotic, that wear police uniforms, they really want to pace around, but because that's weird, because they're not like around a campfire, okay? Because it's totally socially unacceptable and absurdly weird. They engage in iterations of that by doing so in police vehicles where you're not aware of the whole picture, where all they're doing is pacing around as a department. For example, while they keep the fake sun over me in the Upland Public Library, all an entity is doing is pacing around me all day long, engaging in ritualistic, which is mentally ill behavior while you're stalking. You are stalking under the fake sun. And you're not learning about anything under the fake sun either. And the entity is severely mentally ill while they engaged in this iteration of criminal summoning because the entity is hostile to my evidence, hostile to my presence, hostile to the evidence that I publish on the internet. The entity flying over me by plane at this Upland City Hall this morning after I captured the video that you listened to. And then the Upland Public Library is gang stalking while Amazon Prime leaves a package outside of the venue in order to set up what it means, the circumstances for criminal summoning. It's the same thing where the people of the state, let's say they get into a fight in front of the Upland Public Library and it calls for what is present. This is how the entity expressly and impliedly engages in that federal offense. It's all pursuant to stalking and monitoring, all of it. These are all the tactics that they engage in. And the demons, including FedEx and the people of the state, just pace to and from the Upland City Hall, who has closed down access to the entrance doors to the public, which causes for psychopathic pacing. All right. And this is what they're doing while the Upland Police are gang stalking me at the Veterans Memorial at the in between the Upland City Hall and the Upland Public Library. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. It's currently 9:25 a.m. This is speaking to the images that I'm capturing. That's the evidence of what is the entity that's engaging in what is psychological torture, the purpose of criminal summoning. Harassment, which is the purpose of criminal summoning. It is also the entity that is threatening to engage in what is acting in the threats relevant to the threat to commit murder. That's the purpose of gang stalking via criminal summoning. It's in furtherance of that criminal conspiracy to commit murder. It is relevant to what is the criminal conspiracy that the entity is engaging in with regard to committing kidnapping. And that is while they do not talk to you, they're engaging in the P.O.C. So that's the purpose of that. That's what they are accomplishing while they are engaging in stalking you conspicuously as they keep their back to you, and monitoring is underway while the demons, in concert with a minor child on a bicycle, is pacing around while its parent is in operation of their device and they're monitoring. And then the Upland police approach, talking to the people of the state while you're stalking another person. That's a psychopath. While the entity is engaging what is monitoring me under the fake sun. The fake sun that is still here as I exit after 5 p.m. And that's how you know the 100% truth of everything that I just rattled out analyzing that criminal act. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:26 a.m. This is criminal activity committed by the city of Upland. P.O.C. All right, I want to speak to, like I stated in video evidence this morning, Stater Brothers is the entity at 646 West Holt Boulevard, which is a facilitating venue, and Stater Brothers represents the entire entity. That's just one actor, a corporate actor within the entity that is engaged in the same pattern of conduct. And Stater Brothers, pursuant to specific knowledge, is engaged in what is poisoning as an entity, engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, in furtherance of the criminal conspiracy to commit murder, and the entities engaging in this as one. So I want to be clear, Stater Brothers, their interest in poisoning me, which is again federal prison for the entire workforce at that Stater Brothers, and the entity's doing so on behalf of the very stalkers that are in the sky space, the stalkers that are in the parking lot, the demons, in other words, the stalkers that are molesting with impossible light, that are walking in and out of the store in the phenomenon of light flying in the air under the fake sun that's still there 10 hours later. They're all gang stalking, okay? This is the entity that commits murder. Okay, this is how the government engages in what is killing people, and then it is in harming them, battering them, and doing so intentionally, not pursuant to what is ignorance and products that are harmful to the public, and they learn about something that happens, and then they publish and disseminate an FDA warning about Walmart. Walmart that I have showed you in my evidence is gang stalking, is engaging in surveillance. Okay, these are targeted acts. And I want to be clear, the entity that is engaging in this is relevant. The entity that is gang stalking me by the Ontario Police Department. Yes, Upland Police as well. But I was speaking to this last night, well, actually it was 12 o'clock, so we're on the same day. The Ontario Police Department, doing so while I am capturing the P.O.C. Understand that this is what Jason Isaac Fields is a part of. Jason Isaac Fields is the entity that is interested in poisoning me with regard to putting laxatives in my food. I just want to be clear, laxatives will never cause me to have a conversation with this homosexual, with this sex offender that enjoys sexual activity with the elderly, with this demon that's engaging in what is witchcraft with regard to the inability to get a job and be a man and be a provider, as God causes real men that know him to do. This is somebody who is a woman. He's not a man. And that's why he's engaged in all of the aforementioned. In addition to poisoning me in concert with actors like Stater Brothers, who are willing to go to prison, while women like Jason Isaac Fields engage in what is poisoning me as an entity and threatening me and harassing me with threatening with kidnapping as an entity. Understand who's behind that. Jason Fields is behind that. Those are the homosexuals of the military. That's Jason Fields. The entity that's engaged in that, that's having sex and conspiring against me with my mother, while also lying about having any sort of investigative ability under the law whatsoever. You're a stalker. You're a vagina monitor. Not only will I never talk to you because you are a sex offender obsessed with my vagina, which again, the entity is engaging in what is surveilling me in my vagina. This is while you're having sex with my mother. This is somebody that is mentally ill. He's psychotic. Okay, and is in need of what is being committed as much as his co-defendants are, cartwheeling and U-turning and hovering and stalking and following in planes and helicopters. Jason Fields is committing poisoning and doing so as though laxatives are going to cause me to have a change of heart, or cause those of you who are witnessing the fact that Jason Fields is a terrorist. He engages in terrorizing women that he thinks he can threaten into and coerce into dealing with him. He's going to be subject to prison. And this is also someone who thinks that him praying over my defecation, this is someone who would very much consume it if I permit it, or if he could successfully steal it. This is
is someone who worships my defecation. This is someone who is mentally ill. And this is also relevant to his sexual activity with my fake mother, Tracy Banks. The fact that he worships what it is that I literally put into the toilet as waste. He worships it. He's a demon. All right. And he's going to be subject to what are mental examinations. He's engaged in what is poisoning me. The entity engaged in what is poisoning me with Stater Brothers while you're stalking me at the same time. He's stalking me and threatening me with the Ontario police. While you are engaging in what is a threat, Jason Fields will not be coming into my presence. He's going to prison. All right. And he's going to be subject to mental examinations. It's mandated. And for the women out there, no one that actually knows the Lord, like myself, would ever deal with someone who is cursed like Jason. Not only is he cursed, but whatever children he has. If you bear his children, those children are cursed gargoyles. And this is somebody that thought he was going to marry up by having sex with Jezebel, who is literally a walking, talking curse. And this is how spiritually insightful he is. He's having sex with the aged, elderly Jezebel, and he thought that gang stalking me, a child of God, was going to get him all of my riches and gold, and that you were going to escape, you were going to snatch what is some sort of royal identity in the spirit. He's really mentally ill. And laxatives are not going to do it. Neither is my husband monitoring my vagina like Jason is. You're not humiliating me in front of anyone. You're worshiping what I defecate. That's what you are. And this is speaking to the reality of those that are mentally ill like Jason Fields, who's going to prison and is going to be subject to mental examinations, just like his co-defendants of the Ontario Police, his co-defendants of the Upland Police, his co-defendants of the U.S. military. All right, it's currently 9:32 a.m. I want to make sure that this is relevant because everything that I document, Jason Fields is being prosecuted for it. This is a terrorist who is severely deranged, okay, and very much a threat to the public and himself. While this is the sort of terrorism, he engages in terrorism regarding those that he would assert to other people that he is romantically interested in. Well, run for the hills and protect yourself. He tries to murder those that he's romantically interested in. God help us all. This is someone who will never be in my presence. And if he is, it's a federal offense. And it's as simple as that. Okay, this is a matter of what is a public service announcement. Jason Fields is severely mentally ill. He is a violent sex offender. He's an obsessed stalker. And he is also one that literally holds rituals pertaining to feces. Mine in particular. This is someone that is one that would engage in what is consuming it, engage in sexual activity surrounding it. And this is someone that I will never have a conversation with. And everybody's supporting him. You are of the same spirit. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:33 a.m. It is currently 12:28 p.m. where the people of the state, who you will see in the images, are of all races, ages, and of both sexes. These are males and females who are sex offenders, and they're all demons, and they are in the specific environment. The specific environment is that which is proven to be a scientific impossibility, where an entity that does not speak of its sexual perversion, that it does not speak of its corporate sex acts of violence, that does not speak of its stalking as an entity, i.e. gang stalking, that does not speak of targeting any one person, while also not speaking of the reality that they are engaging in surveillance, not as strangers, but as an entity that is united, and demons that are in sync, okay, that are acting on behalf of a government that has an existing system of surveillance. This is proven through the fake sun that is over me as I'm capturing it right now inside of the Upland Public Library, where, by the way, you also know that what I just stated is the case because I'm here at 8 o'clock in the morning in the fake sun, 9, 10, 11, 4 hours and about 4 hours and about 13 minutes later, 12 minutes later. The fake sun is still over me, and I'm at the Upland Public Library on the inside of the building, number one. Number two, yesterday at this time, the gang stalkers of Bethel Congregational Church are monitoring me inside of 536 North Euclid Avenue, and that fake sun is remaining over that fake church, where the people of the state, as they are gang stalking on the roads and the highways via planes and helicopters while I'm inside of that church building. And I also document while I leave that building and that fake sun leaves above me back to the location where the fake sun rises at the Ovid Family Community Library. The entity is engaging in what is stalking in the bathroom. With regard to tracking my steps, this is tracking my vagina. Okay, monitoring my genitalia, doing so in concert with children that they have participating in the sex act. And demon-possessed children are aware of the target. They know who they're targeting. They're monitoring that person. They do so as children who are also not all of them, many of them are not socially trained yet. So they know that they're monitoring, but they're not trained to the degree that where they know not to stare at the target individual. They don't know not to, give them attention like the sophisticated demons. And I don't even like to use the term because there's nothing sophisticated about them. But with regard to their psychopathic, microaggressive, passive aggressive system, you're being stalked obsessively in a psychopathic manner. Everything about you, your digestion, your breathing pattern, your heartbeat, your eyesight, your entire body, your genitalia, your communication devices, and everywhere that you're going. Where you're conscious and unconscious, you are being stalked and monitored. And the entity does this without addressing you, without talking to you, without acknowledging you as insofar as you are aware of it in the way in which we're accustomed to talking to someone, saying something to them, knowing them personally, knowing who that person is that's sitting in front of you at the library, that's standing outside on the sidewalk across from where you're sitting on the inside of the library, that's driving on the street, that's on the outside of the building where the fake sun is above the library, that is in the jet that's sounding as they're flying over the roof where the fake sun is over you inside of the library. This is where the entity's engaging. That this is up in California, which is distinct from Ontario, California. This is up in California where the fake sun is at over 4 hours remaining at the Upland Public Library. This is also over 4 hours at Upland Public Library, one address in the city of Upland, and nowhere near and not possibly coexisting simultaneously to be in Ontario, California, to be over the proven terrorists who are congregating at a facilitating venue, not a legitimate church, for those of you who are learning about the fact that Satan poses as a Christian and states that he believes in Jesus and will deliberately hurt you and mislead you and make you think that you, number one, are saved as you follow that poor testimony, and number two, that you've been hurt by someone who claims that they're a Christian and that you should not follow Christ and that you shouldn't walk with him and that you shouldn't even go to church because a demon that was posing as a Christ follower did something to you, violated you. Okay, you're learning that lesson, and you're also witnessing the fact that they're all defendants in a federal RICO case, engaging in what is even greater than gang stalking somebody that they're persecuting. They're going from gang stalking in a fake church to prison because this is terrorism with the U.S. government that is very unintelligent and incriminating them every other moment of the day, even when I leave that fake church, like what's happening 24 hours later and up in California. And last week, as I spoke to, where Pastor Jeanette is being documented while the U.S. military is stalking me by helicopter, flying in circles over me, which the terrorists that you're gang stalking with, and I'm referring to the demons, you're not thinking about. And these are all mentally ill psychopaths. These are demons. They're not people. So these are people that are not of sound mind. They are literally bots. They're zombies that are subservient to a satanic system. So their obsession is to stalk the target as demons. But their interest is to not be in prison, to not be deported, to not be committed, okay? To not be subject to damages and have their businesses first of all exposed and then shut down by the federal government, etc. Those are their interests. But those are demon-possessed people who are not thinking about those interests. They're thinking about my vagina. They're thinking about stalking me. They're thinking about obsessively keeping me surrounded. And they willingly walk into a federal case on an ongoing basis while they know that they're being documented, while there is no mystery of the military tribunal, the federal judges, literally you, the witnesses, your ability to know how guilty they are as you watch them who you also know are demons, engage in criminal activity with whom you know are stalking me in planes and helicopters, and you're looking at their faces and they're providing you their identity while they willingly engage in that because they are in fact psychopathic. And this is speaking to what is not only preaching I don't mean preaching I'm a preacher, I'm not a preacher, but this is an inevitable means of preaching the truth of the gospel, the deity of Christ, who is the true and living God, who is telling you the truth about what is going on and who is doing it. And it is Satan, and it is his minions that are engaged in what is gang stalking. And the headline is that gang stalking is a government system. Okay, so this is what the United States government is doing, and the United States government is engaging in terrorism and is doing so with the rest of the world, engaging in surveillance against American citizens in the United States with both the people of the state, the constituents of the country, but also with the rest of the world that is keeping American citizens under surveillance, keeping their genitalia under surveillance, violating your privacy on a basis that exceeds just everybody in that grocery store that's aware of your genitalia, people that are in Russia, people that get on the internet in some third world country are aware of and monitoring you and watching you even being gang stalked and your genitalia being kept under surveillance. That's how much of a violation of human rights and constitutional rights the United States government, the United States military are engaging in. All right, it's that size of a violation, and the entity is doing so with regard to a level of delusion that you see exhibited by the Ontario Police Department, who are stalking in the middle of the night, waiting until I put out my sleeping bag, in fact, in order to drive by and that be the guys, oh, I came upon you. You're not allowed to be here. When you are stalking every other day, understand that that is psychopathic behavior, and that's the very criminal conduct. That's a crime. Federal prison, but they're not just going to prison, they're being committed. Okay, it's the same when they are under the fake sun and Gerber is crossing path with Southwest Airlines flying over me, stalking. Gerber of the Ontario Police Department. I'm at 10 o'clock in the morning, at 11 o'clock in the morning, at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening at the same address, where your partners are there at 6 hours later from where you were at the Ovid Family Community Library, just using that as an example because the P.O.C. is identical everywhere that I go. And the fake son is still there, and you represent the same entity, moreover the same department that is stalking me under the fake son. And you are behaving, conducting yourself with a gun on your hip, a badge on your chest, while Satan is out here acting like a cowboy, who's going to be not only put in prison, but be involuntarily committed because of the psychopathic behavior of stalkers who dress up as though they have authority. Like this is a Halloween party, but they're very serious because they commit murder and kidnappings with those costumes on. That's how they get away with it. All right, the entity's engaging in this P.O.C. and they are stalking in the bathroom of the Upland Public Library. And I also want to document the city of Upland is engaged in targeting in the way of which I've documented before, for example, such as Starbucks, that will engage in keeping the bathroom clean. That is until the targeted individual is the one that is systematically documenting the pattern of conduct, particularly regarding Starbucks' fascination with monitoring my vagina. And this is when Starbucks will cease to engage in cleaning the bathroom and is targeting and harassing in concert with the filthy creatures who are obsessed with my vagina, the people of the state who intentionally leave that bathroom in a mess as well, targeting in concert with Starbucks, who does not keep that bathroom clean any longer, which is a part of what they do, maintaining a cafe as baristas. It's making coffee and cleaning the cafe, including the bathroom. But the entity, I've documented a pattern of them targeting in this regard, especially as I document them bathroom monitoring. And this is what the city of Upland is engaging in. It is currently 12:39 p.m. where they open at 10 a.m. And it doesn't matter how many bodies are stalking me on the inside. The entity has not refilled the toilet seat covers in any of the stalls. This was the case on Friday. They were all empty. This is the case on Thursday. They were all empty. And the entity is monitoring what I do in the bathroom. And so this is a means of what is targeting with regard, on the one hand, the entity is harassing with regard to not refilling the resources, the supplies in the bathroom, but at the same time, they are monitoring my vagina, chasing me into the bathroom to use it. So this is the entity that is also poisoning me, and then they're chasing me into the bathroom to monitor while I am in the bathroom after they've committed poisoning as an entity. This is all relevant to the entity. It's going to be subject to damages, enhanced prison time, all right, and prosecution as corporate entities. But nonetheless, the city of Upland is targeting everything that you are engaging in under the fake sun is targeting all of it. So the entities that's engaging in The P.O.C is also not refilling the supplies, not in any of the stalls, and I believe there are 4 stalls, 1 handicap stall. None of them are refilled with any of the toilet seat wipes. The entity is doing this with regard to my interest in maintaining as much as a sanitized environment as I can, because these are not people, these are demons. They're creatures, they're gargoyles. These are the light slingers that are stalking me. They do not care about washing their hands. This is why we have mutated diseases out, because these are demons that engage in, first of all manner of sexual perversion, and they spread and they do this on purpose with regard to infecting other people like yourselves that are ignorant about the fact that you're having sex with demons. The entity is engaging in what is disgusting behavior. They don't care about when they're stalking obsessively, running in and out of the bathroom. They do not care about washing their hands. Okay, they're touching the doors. They're touching the doors on the bathroom stalls. They are leaving all manner of gifts in the toilet, not flushing it. When they are harassing me because I'm documenting them monitoring my vagina, it's all relevant to targeting. Okay, the entity is leaving the bathroom in this manner because they are stalking me in the bathroom. And this is not just poor practices by a city that's engaging in what is a violation of what would be a matter of sanitation and a matter of what is a violation of public policy, especially in this COVID era, the manufactured emergency that the entity created as demons engage in what is spell work. Nonetheless, the entity is engaging what is spreading of germs amongst the demons that are monitoring me, stalking me in the bathroom, and they do this also as a means of harassment while they are spreading germs themselves. But these are dogs. They don't care. They don't care. But this is the entity that's monitoring me. I use paper to touch the cover of the doorknobs. I use paper to cover everything. I don't touch the floor. I don't want to touch the doorknobs. I don't want to touch anything. While I am relegated to using public restrooms, which is absolutely disgusting, while the government stalks me and spends millions of dollars in planes and helicopters and jets, fire trucks, police vehicles, and government facilities like the city hall, like the libraries, on the roads and the highways, and all manner of this population keeping my genitalia under surveillance. Okay, so I want to document that while the fake sun is not over the Bethel congregation, because it's not the natural environment. It's over me in Upland, California today, and the state of that bathroom is also a means of targeting and harassment. The one whose vagina they're all obsessed with. And the city of Upland's going to be prosecuted for that. The city of Upland's being defunded. They won't even be able to afford toilet paper and whatever they're living in when I am done with the city of Upland. Okay, it is currently 12:42 p.m. This is P.O.C, the entity engaged in psychopathic pacing inside of the Upland Public Library, pacing up and down the stairs, pacing all around, remaining engaged in surveillance, sitting at the desks, sitting at work, which is what Adam Tuckerman, Kiki, Carissa, Brianna are engaged in as employees that are gang stalking, while the people of the state are maintaining traffic. This is the psychopaths that are together seeking to normalize their mentally ill behavior when all they're doing is pacing all around me under the fake sun and in that engineer light, monitoring everything that I do, including my vagina, in the filthy bathroom where they are stalking. Okay, this is P.O.C. It's 12:43 p.m. It's 14:41. The entity is monitoring evidence as I am updating the Los Angeles Police Department gang stalking by helicopter in LA, and I edit that video on the internet. The Upland Public Library is engaged in terrorism and harassment inside. P.O.C. Hi.
How you doing?
Hi. Are you in line?
No, you go.
Oh, I just have a question. Do you know like what the noise is? There's some loud noise. I have headphones on. So I don't know what it is, but something was really loud and crashing right now a couple moments ago. And I just want to know if you guys could address that, because I
didn't hear it.
Wow. What's interesting is because I appreciate a quiet environment. So I've been asked before, when I don't really think I'm that loud, but I've been asked before if I could keep it down, and that's perfectly fine. But I just find it to be I'm listening to something, and if something's like really loud right now. So that's why I just want to bring it to your attention. I don't know if it's somebody that's above me up there, but I don't know if it's them up there, because there's nobody in the little cubby area over here by me or behind me. I didn't look all around. I just came to talk to one of y'all. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I don't know what that was. It was very disconcerting because I'm listening to stuff, so I'm like, what was that?
I didn't hear, but that is the children's department up there, and we always got families up there. So the children's department during our peak hours is gonna be noisier than the rest of the library.
Are they throwing marbles or something?
I didn't hear what you heard. I didn't hear, so I have I don't hear what you hear. So if I'll be listening for it now, but I didn't hear no big crashing noise.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you anyway, Kiki. I just want to bring that to your attention so that maybe you could be on alert for it, I guess.
I will.
All right. Thank you. This is P.O.C. You'll recall my evidence, my podcast, where Ashley is engaged in harassment. She's a demon engaged in amplified audible activity. That's how her stapler was able to sound through the library. And then the moment that I began documenting her by podcast, you'll recall she comes over to me while I'm in operation on my phone, which is, as far as they're concerned, who are not monitoring and gang stalking and focused on me, is merely a phone conversation. And the entity, as you are also aware of my podcast, you heard the child that was a demon, and you heard them engaging in incessant, loud, disruptive, crying conduct, whining, which the people of the state bring into the library under the fake sun to engage in monitoring. And their children are demons. Their children are also gang stalkers. And the entity's engaging in what is harassment, and it's relevant to Dominic Choi's criminal activity, the Los Angeles Police Department's criminal activity, as I am referring to the video evidence that this entity has tampered with on my social media platform. This is the P.O.C. on YouTube, where the published video evidence that is 2024-0412 at 15:44:32 hours, meaning April 12, 2024 at 3:44 p.m. and 32 seconds, the LAPD is stalking me by a black helicopter flying over my office. That is gang stalking that I'm subject to in the workplace, which is why, by the way, I'm sleeping outside where the Ontario police, who are the same entity, gang stalking me by helicopter, which I have evidence of, intentionally do that in order to put you in an economic bind where demons like Tracy Banks, who are having sex with the military and having sex with the police, engage in summoning them as an entity, meaning Tracy doesn't have to call the police. Tracy's nowhere around me. Tracy's a gang stalker, though. She's the entity. And as I document Tracy Banks, as I refer to my evidence on the internet, as I edit a video where the entity removed all of the details, exposing that LAPD is the agency stalking me by helicopter, and I'm subject to harassment, the amplified audible activity at the Upland Public Library. That's not at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library today, like it was yesterday, where Kiki is stating as a gang stalker that she didn't hear it, okay? She's going to be in court, and the judge is also going to ask her, do you see that fake sun over your head? Do you see that light on the inside of the reference area where you're sitting? Do you understand when I'm stating why you're going to prison? She's going to be asked that question as well. The entity's engaging in this POC, and they're engaging in this pattern of kind of pursuant to surveillance, and an entity that Tracy Banks is engaged in sexual activity with, which is relevant to the cult, to the entity that is engaged in targeting me together, the interest that the military, the interest that the police, where I am not a terrorist and I am not a criminal and you don't have any probable cause and you are acting in conformity to a documented pattern of conduct of targeting me, the sexual activity that Tracy Banks has with them is absolutely relevant, okay? And it is the entity that's engaging in what is targeting me. And they're targeting with regard to the noise level, while psychopaths just maintain an ongoing clamorous, disruptive environment with regard to what is monitoring, because that's how you're monitoring in the environment with the loud noises. But you're also doing so pursuant to what is real-time knowledge as demons that know what you're doing on the internet, the simultaneity of that conduct. And while you are harassing me and asking me to keep my volume down when I'm using my phone and documenting you gang stalking and psychologically torturing me, this is the entity that is, on the other hand, engaging in that conduct as I documented it inside of the Upland Public Library, inside of the Fontana Lewis Library, inside of the Ovid Family Community Library. And the entity engages in even targeting me and asking me, oh, would you mind keeping it down when I'm documenting you gang stalking me? And there is no requirement, nor shall anybody actually seriously engage in that level of harassment outside of being prosecuted, for you to quietly endure being psychologically tortured and gang stalked. And that's what the entity has done. And Ashley is on the record asking me to keep my voice down while she's engaged in targeting me. That's the psychopath that's being committed as I accumulate my evidence to prosecute them. They're all under the fake sun. They're all engaging in this conduct, which I want to document. I don't expect a gang stalker to acknowledge the noise and if I'm sitting right here with headphones on and everybody also is aware, because this is how you're going to prosecute demons, this is how you're going to prosecute a government that's engaging in stalking you, because the government will do just what Kiki did. We have no idea what Erica Spencer is talking about, she's mentally ill. That's the government's defense. And when they are stating, oh, well, I didn't hear it and I don't know, and this is why you document, because that's exactly what the government's course of conduct consists of. And there is no denying the evidence of the P.O.C. And so everyone, in other words, all the witnesses already know that I don't make up anything. And I don't need to, moreover. Nor do I have an interest in that or have time for it. But anyway, while I'm sitting here with headphones on and I'm listening to my evidence, and I'm also listening to other content to drown out the noises of the demons, the entity goes out of its way to make exceptionally loud noise. And that's something that Kiki absolutely heard. And this is how you're going to prosecute the demons, because they are, in the face of denying it, they are, while they're acting like it's not happening, you're going to prosecute based on what is absolutely the circumstance that they seek to act like is not happening. And they will not be able to act like they're not being committed. They also won't be able to act like they're not going to prison. They're not going to be able to act like they have not been found guilty, because this is what they are forced to be subject to while you're dealing with psychopaths that are gang stalking in a manner that is highly psychopathic and mentally ill, deranged, even while they don't even have a defense to reasonably. They will unreasonably, but they don't have any defense to reasonably contend or that you are ignorant about the helicopter or the light that's flying across, or that you don't see it, or that you're ignorant about it. And nor is any criminal case contingent upon a purported defendant admitting their guilt. That's why you have court hearings, to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. All right. And the entity is unreasonable while they act like they're ignorant, while they're stalking together and conformity to a pattern of conduct. You're ignorant about the pattern that you're all sharing in, and that ignorance is supposed to be proven by your silence, or that ignorance is supposed to be proven by your acting like it's not happening, or your ignorance is supposed to be proven while the entity is engaging in that which you're not participating. You're not flying the helicopter, so you don't know anything about it. This is the entity that is unreasonable in that. But this is the P.O.C. I want to document that. This is Kiki is going to prison. She engaged in kidnapping, and this is psychopathic while you're targeting. And not only does she hear it, but they're monitoring my vagina in the bathroom while they're stalking in the bathroom, and while they're also outside of the bathroom pacing all around. So I want to document that, because this is what you're juxtaposing with the demons like Ashley, who are telling me, coming under their way while you're gang stalking me and I start documenting you. You're going out of your way to ask me to keep the noise level down when you have children, as you hear her admitting, engaging in what is disruptive conduct behavior in a library. Having a children's area does not mean that you're going to maintain an ongoing disruptive environment. It is still a library. And the children are demons, and the children are monitoring. And so that's also relevant regarding the loud environment where you're engaging in that which is uncharacteristic of a library in the first place. Okay, but this is P.O.C. It is currently 2:50 p.m. This is relevant to LA. Okay, when you're documenting the demons in Starbucks and you're subject to what is harassment by helicopter, as you document that or you edit that on social media, that's the entity that is acting in Starbucks is therefore harassing you while you are editing video evidence about Starbucks. And so here LAPD is stalking me by helicopter as I'm editing this video in April of 2024, and I'm subject to real-time harassment by the demons that are the same entity. Okay, and I just want to be clear, this is directly relevant to Ontario police that are stalking me last night at the Ontario Civic Center. And they are the same entity that are stalking me in the workplace, which is why I was forced to resign, which is always the case, where the entity is creating an economic circumstance where you're subject to gang stalking, terrorism in the workplace. And then you have the entity like Tracy Banks and Eric Spencer, Tommy Allen Banks, and everyone else that sat in a courtroom that I was absent from, where I had no idea about court hearings about me, or let alone money, property that they've been stealing and paying other people to keep me under surveillance, and acting as though treating me as though they have authority over me, like I'm some mentally ill family member that they have control over. All of this, which is I'm ignorant about, while I am out in the world working and being gang stalked and practicing law and being gang stalked and looking for employment where the entity, the state of California, refuses to hire me. And and this is why. And the entity's engaging in this conduct simultaneously while targeting me in order to get away with stealing from me. And where the LAPD is the entity that interferes with my constitutional liberty right to collect a paycheck regarding whatever it is that I want to do. And I'm trained to practice law. I am experienced in property management, and I wasn't able to do that without being subject to terrorism, the same terrorism that the city of Upland is engaging in, by the way. The Ontario Police Department don't have any authority under the law, and you're going to prison for gang stalking me in the workplace in order to create a status of homelessness where then you're claiming that I can't sleep outside. Or otherwise, what, you're going to kidnap me? Because that's the only point in you harassing me in that way, where you know exactly where I'm at. In fact, you keep my vagina under surveillance. That's how much you know about where I'm at and what I'm doing at all times. This is a mentally ill entity, and they will be prosecuted for every detail pertaining to their criminal course of conduct. Okay, so that's what's relevant behind that. I just wanted to make sure I share that. This is the entire, and Adam Tuckerman is here gang stalking. All right, so is Ashley, Alyssa, Brianna, and this is Kiki, and those are the ones that I've seen here thus far. The entire workforce is being federally prosecuted for gang stalking, and as employees, you're systematically engaging in terrorism, and under the law, systematic facilitation to the military that's conspiring murder, which you are sharing in that criminal conspiracy to murder while you are working in the specific environment. You're going to prison for that. So this is the P.O.C. It is currently 2:54 p.m. This is P.O.C. The fake sun's over my head right now, 4:35. Hey, Ashley, this one's not charged. It's like totally dead. Just to be clear, the fake sun is over me while I'm sitting here in the same area at 10 in the morning when I walked in. And the entity has harassed me by these little demon-possessed minors with no home training. This is also why minors are going to be subject to martial law. They're terrorists, and they are knowingly and intentionally and maliciously engaging in the same pattern of conduct. They're demons. This is P.O.C. Oh, you found one?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll take the other one off your account.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Have a good one. So you're gonna watch how the fake sun follows me. It's moving, but the engineer light doesn't move, okay? Everybody in here, including those under the age of majority, are vagina monitors. They are sex offenders acting in furtherance of the criminal conspiracy to commit murder, and they are present for crossing a path. They are literally stalkers. They're all stalkers. The military maintains the pattern of conduct through minors. This is the P.O.C., and these are all demons, and they're all concerned about me. Alrighty, that's the pattern of conduct. It is currently 4:37 p.m. and as I documented, I'm remaining at the side of the Ovid Family Community Library at this time yesterday, where the U.S. military and commercial planes and helicopter, which I documented. There's evidence of it, and that's why there will be no debate with the government and no debate with Satan himself, who is a liar. While the entity has the fake sun over 450 North Euclid Avenue, where it was during the 8 a.m. hour, the entity is indeed engaged in stalking in the bathroom, which Ashley is going to prison for, while she is engaging what is keeping me under surveillance while she collects a paycheck as an employee at a state facilitating venue in furtherance of murder, which is systematic. That is intolerable facilitation to the government that murders and kidnaps American citizens through people like her. All right, these are psychopaths that are just engaged in stalking in a library. They're just remaining around all day long, and those that I document as serial stalkers are going to prison. Don't mind him. He's looking around because he knows he's being zoomed in on. It's a demon. It's currently 4:38 p.m. at Upland Public Library.